Today on DNVR Buffs Live, the two-man game is back. We're going to be doing position power rankings for the Buffs. What is the deepest, best position group for this team heading into 2025? Buy or sell. Bucky Brooks has a mock draft with one of our guys going first overall. Scott on last night's basketball game and more. Let's go.
Squad.
Coming to you live from the Toyota Lounge, driven by our Front Range Toyota stores. DNVR Buffs Live. Happy Wednesday, brother.
How we feeling, broski? Glad to have you back in the friendly confines of Denver, Colorado in the Toyota Lounge. How you feeling, bro? After some few days of travel.
It was awesome, man. Truly, it was a great trip. I thought we killed it out there, and Definitely. It was just good to see the guys go out there and ball, man. But it's also nice to be back here. I had a little bit of FOMO yesterday, just seeing you in the studio. And,
I was all dolo, bro. That was my first, first experience. Huh? It was kind of odd, but I was rocking with it, bro.
Yeah. Shout out to DLS for letting me go crash it for a bit, but it's great to be home, man. A lot to get to today.
Oh yeah.
We'll get into basketball. Damn. We'll get into
it. Damn is right, though. Damn is right.
Bucky Brooks had him on the show yesterday. He just released a mock draft.
Sure did.
Game of buy or sell. But we're going to start positional power rankings. We'll touch on some Shrine Bowl stuff in buy or sell.
Yeah.
We'll have a full preview tomorrow for tomorrow night's game. But what is the deepest, best position on the Buffs roster? We've done this a few times on the show, and we've broken it up into, I believe, 9 position groups.
That's what I got. Yes, sir.
Cornerback, running back, wide receiver, offensive line, defensive line, edge rusher, linebacker, cornerbacks, and safeties. Is this easier to stop from the top or the bottom, you think?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think we should start from the top and go down.
Work our way down?
Yeah.
So, if I remember right, I think last time we did this last offseason, and I don't know what else would have rivaled it, but the wide receivers were the easy choice to be the best position group on the team, right?
They're not at my top spot. Are they for
you?
Are they for you?
They might be, man. I'll make a case for them right now.
For sure.
I mean, it's basically Coach Prime's calling card. We talked about that yesterday, right? You know, with when he came in here, it was building the team outside in. Because that's just what he attracts to these guys. And we're stacked again this year.
Yeah.
It's not a group of immediate draft eligible guys like we had last season, but it's proven talent. It was a highly sought after talent in the portal or when it comes to recruiting. I mean, Omari Miller is, we're expecting big things out of him this year, right?
Absolutely.
Same with Draylon, who had a great freshman year. Joseph Williams, one of the best young receivers in college football last year, jumping up to the Power 4 to play for Colorado. But, I mean, look, we got Cam Michael still on the roster. Isaiah Harge has been a Swiss Army knife for this team.
It's true.
And has been someone that has filled multiple roles, but still primarily works at receiver. I just think this is an extremely dynamic group that's going to make a lot of plays.
It definitely is, bro, especially the top-end talent. The youth is exciting too because again, maybe they're not like the draft eligible guys like you mentioned with the receivers maybe last year, but the youth of that room is really exciting. It's not just for 2025 but beyond, and so that's why I don't really blame you for having receivers at the top. My pushback would be the youth, right, and maybe the production. Joseph Williams maybe is probably the most productive. kind of receiver on the roster in terms of true
He actually
production,
might be,
receiving yards,
yeah.
right? And he was just the freshman of the year
Right.
this past year. So there's obviously a lot of talent and a lot of potential. But in terms of the best position group on this team, I think right now at this point is defensive line. And we've talked about it. I mean, some of the guys, Amari McNeil, who I've been raving about, pretty much since midseason, since that Texas Tech game, pretty much. I think he's in for a huge 2025. Obviously, Quinn Barnes is back. Torian Carter's back. Tawfiq Thomas is back. And then obviously the guys that they went and got in the portal, like Jaheim Otis was ESPN's #1 ranked defensive transfer at the time of his commitment to Colorado from Alabama. Again, experienced guy, played a lot of football under Nick Saban before kind of Kalen DeBoer kind of came in 2024. But, you add Otis along with Gavril Lightfoot, one of the most productive defensive tackle in the Mountain West over the last couple of years. Tavian Coleman, who's been really productive, racking up tackles for loss at Texas State the last couple of years. And then the young guys, right? Alexander McPherson could potentially work into that defensive line. He might end up being an edge, but I can see him playing. He loves playing the
London
3 technique
Merritt
as well. London Merritt, Christian Hudson as well on the defensive line on that interior. So I think this defensive line has the potential to be the best position group on this team here in 2025. Because, again, there's obviously a lot of talent. There is proven production. These are some older guys who have played a lot of football as well. So I would go with defensive line, actually, as my #1 spot. But can't blame you at all for going with receiver.
I think you're right, man. It's a great blend, probably the best blend on this team of proven production, veteran experience, but also, young, exciting talent.
Yes.
And they were one of, if not the best position group at times.
Oh, yeah.
Last season. So I could definitely see that. Let's do it. D-line at 1. I actually did forget one position, so we got 10. Forgot about tight end.
True.
Number 2, we take out D-line. Would edge just be the next one then? I mean, we have so many exciting guys on the edge in terms of returning players. Tajay McCoy, who we'll talk about later today, Arden Walker. Those 2 guys I think we're expecting big jumps out of. And you mentioned, we'll see where Alex McPherson, maybe even London Merritt, where they land exactly in terms of which position they play. They did not go after a transfer edge, though. So to me, that signals you feel good about what you have already.
Absolutely, bro. A couple guys you need to mention, too. Samuel Okunlola, who started the year as the starter on the edge for Colorado in 2024. Obviously, Keaton Wade as well, who kind of came on in spurts. And obviously, there was a big discussion on whether he would kind of preserve his red shirt. They obviously decided not to do that. But that tells me that he's probably going to be very much involved in the defensive game plans here in 2025. And obviously he showed a real innate ability to get after the quarterback, finish with, getting the quarterback on the ground. So, yeah, edge is what I had at second, right behind defensive line, with those guys you mentioned. And, again, this is a defensive line edge group that literally led the Big 12 in sacks last year. And it wouldn't surprise me at all they did the same thing in 2025. And this is just a feather in your cap because this is awesome for Colorado in 2025 because we talked about it. If you don't got a defensive line, if you can't stop the run, it's going to be hard for you to win football games, particularly in the Big 12, but in college football in general. So the way this defense in particular is kind of being built kind of from the front backwards is really good to see.
Some guys we didn't even mention. I mean, Quincy Wiggins. Brandon Davis Swain, who was a young player who didn't really see the field much last year. Like, there is depth. There's kind of what we said with the defensive line. There's proven guys, too, and a lot of pedigree that is still yet to really touch the field and make an impact. So,
hell yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if, someone like Quincy Wiggins has a massive jump.
Me either.
And enters like the top 2 rotation at edge.
Me either. That would make a lot of people happy. I know that because, again, he has all the physical capabilities. And I know Coach Prime has mentioned it too, just kind of Quincy's mentality of like coming from LSU and maybe expecting a certain maybe playing time or when you get to Colorado. But Coach Prime, told us last year that that's the last thing Quincy's worried about. So it would be dope to see him kind of crack that rotation here in 2025 because he has the talent to do it.
Number 3, are we going wide receiver? Cornerback, I think, should be in the conversation as well. I mean, maybe even if you feel good about these transfers that have come in, linebacker is a position that I think is still really strong on this team.
I actually had cornerback right here.
Okay.
I got cornerback right here. Obviously, mainly because of Well, we know, like,
Yeah, proven.
Yeah. We know Cole Hood, Preston Hodge, DJ McKinney, who we talked a little bit about yesterday. Like, that's the top three at corner that pretty much any college football program would be ecstatic to have. And then you add in, some other guys, Isaiah Harge, who figures to work into the quarterback rotation. Seatbelt Makari Vickers, coming over from Oklahoma. So I think this cornerback room is really special. And again, they're being coached by the best cornerback of all time. They're being coached by one of the best defensive coordinators in all of college football, and Robert Livingston. So yeah, I got cornerbacks squarely, comfortably at number 3.
I think it's a good call because even with Preston Hodge coming back, that changes a lot of things for the secondary. And without Preston Hodge, I do think you start to get a little bit worried about the depth and the experience of this secondary when it comes to crunch time late in games, October, November-ish. But I don't know. I'd still think wide receiver as a case. You're right, though. Just the top 3 cornerbacks that they have, this should be one of, if not the best cornerback trios in the Big 12, maybe all of college football. And we're going to see a jump, I think, from someone like DJ McKinney or Colton Hood, maybe even both. And if that happens...
even both. Facts, bro.
Oh, boy.
Facts. Because, again, I said it yesterday, like, watching these guys go through winter workouts, like, DJ McKinney is going through a transformation, a bodily transformation. He looks absolutely different. And, again, we were talking about yesterday, like, he already has the ideal height, like 6'2", damn near 6'3", long limbs, can reach, through the air. But if he's kind of filling out his frame, that's exactly what NFL, front offices are looking for. And I already wrote, I think on one of our roundtables, that I expect Colton Hood to get onto draft boards after this season during the 2025 season. So, yeah, you add in Preston Hodge to that, and whoever kind of works in as that CB4, this position group is dope.
All right, I'm about to have to stand on some business here because
I'm with you here.
But the wide receivers, yes, but this quarterback room too. Because make no mistake about it, this quarterback room is 100% deeper than last year. Is it better top end talent wise with Shedeur being gone? Obviously, is a question we'll have to wait to be answered. It's all projecting at this point, but you have a proven guy in Caden Salter, a guy who is, if he can do what we talk about in him improving Colorado's run game,
right?
That is so valuable in, it makes everyone better. It makes the team just work better. And then, of course, our guy Julian Lewis, who's a phenom, if he just goes out and balls in spring camp, and all of a sudden we have, kind of like what we saw, the passing over the keys from from Shedeur to Julian in year 1, we might have a true, freshman phenom on our hands. So I'm between quarterback and wide receiver here.
Bro, we're kind of, I had receiver at 4 and quarterback right behind it at 5. So.
Okay.
Well, however you want to split that up is cool with me. We kind of talk about the receivers, but I agree with the quarterbacks. Like, this is kind of what you want. Like, if you want to be an elite college football program, this is kind of the quarterback, what your quarterback room typically looks like. You have a veteran guy who's been proven, productive, and you have somebody waiting in the wings who is very highly touted coming out of high school. Like you mentioned, a phenom, a former 5-star quarterback. To me, the best quarterback, arguably, in the class of 2025. So, what Caden, I think, is going to be able to add to this offense with his legs, both using him as a runner and obviously, helping open up the running game for the running backs. I do think that this quarterback room is a top 5 position on this team.
Does the experience of Caden Salter, would that push them over the edge? Could you make that jump to put them over the wide receivers at 4? Because I'll be honest, I think it does for me.
I think so.
I know what I'm getting out of that room, I think, more so than the wide receivers.
Right, and that's kind of why I had cornerback up high and edge. So, yeah, I'm kind of with you. I'm willing to put, quarterback at 4, receiver at 5, just because, again, it's hard. We love the receiver room, but a lot of it is projection.
Yes.
Right? And, again, we think those guys are capable of doing more with more opportunities, but we're going to have to see it. But we've seen Caden Salter over the last 3 years put a lot of good football on tape.
Yep, for sure. All right, so top 5 of the list right now. We got defensive line, then edge, then cornerback, then quarterback, then wide receiver.
Yeah.
5 of them left to go. Let's hit this break.
Let's do it.
Nail it out. Shout out Bet365, man. Did you win any money on the championship weekend on Bet365?
No, unfortunately. I don't know why I thought the Commanders-Eagles game would be close. I actually took Commanders plus 6.5. So yeah, I had a couple parlays that were like, you know how it goes, 1 or 2 miss.
Right.
So that's how my weekend went.
Yep. Well, unfortunately, I was in the state of Texas, and I did not get my bets in again before the trip. So, I just had I was rooting for the good old, spirit of the game.
We're old school.
But now that I'm in Colorado, I can finally get back on Bet365. I made quite a bit of money last year on the Super Bowl, just betting on stuff that like physically hurt my heart.
Yeah.
At least my wallet would be helped out if my heart is gonna hurt. Like I had a Bet365 had a bet that was like plus 250 last year for the Chiefs to come from behind and win in the fourth quarter. And I was like, this is all they do.
It's a
Absolutely.
hell of a bet.
And of course it hit. Shout out
Period.
Bet365 though. New customers can get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up, use the code DNVR365, deposit $10. And place a bet of $5 to get $150 in bonus bets. They can be used on anything, man. Spread, totals, player props, futures, SGPs, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. You must be 21 or older and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. You want to do next one?
Absolutely, man. Shout out to the squad over at Elevations Credit Union. I'm not sure where I heard this, but I think it came from a pretty reputable source. That this is the sexiest credit card on the face of the earth. So Skull Buffs with the Go Buffs Visa Signature Rewards Card. The only official credit card of CU Athletics, only at Elevations Credit Union. Visit buffscreditcard.com to apply and see full card benefits and details.
Yeah, I don't know where I heard that from either, but I did hear that it's a pretty slick looking credit
That's what
card.
I've heard, man. You hear something enough, it pretty much becomes true. I think that's how it goes.
Shout out RK. Okay, back to positional
Think
power.
he's watching right
rankings.
now?
He is not watching right now. I mean, there is a chance,
I think there's a chance.
but with the trip that he's on, I seriously doubt it.
True.
Okay, number 6. We've got 5 of them left. And these are positions that have been kind of issues for the Buffs at times over the last 2 seasons.
Right.
Running back, tight end, offensive line, linebacker, and safety. Linebacker, as I mentioned, has that experience coming in, but it's 3 new guys actually in the transfer portal.
Yeah.
You do have Montrez Walker coming in.
Yep.
That's kind of the room, basically, though, right? Am I forgetting anyone there? I don't think I am.
Yeah. I mean, Goldberg, yeah.
Right.
I mean, I think that's
Jalen
pretty.
Wester, I
Of
am
course,
forgetting,
yes.
yes.
And that's kind of why I
JB.
have, of course, Jeremiah Brown. They're gonna be mad at you for forgetting JB, but
You're going to get mad at this for something.
but that's kind of why I have linebacker kind of down here. At 6 year, I actually have safety.
Okay.
And a lot of that has to do with Tawfiq Barrett. I'm not going to lie.
Of course, yeah.
I think he's going to come in and be one of the best players on this defense right away. He gives me Cameron and Silman Craig vibes. I don't know if it's just because of the play style or the way they kind of just carry themselves and their demeanor and kind of their mentality coming from that safety spot. But obviously you add Tawfiq Barrett, Carter Stoutmire's obviously back there as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like that safety room as well. And there's going to be Savion Riley as well, who showed in spurts last season after transferring in from Vanderbilt that he's more than capable as well. So I like this safety room as well. I know from getting a couple guys as well. But
Yeah, Antonio Branch,
right, the young guy, the young freshman coming in. So yeah, there's some talent in this safety spot. And again, they're going to be coached by somebody who coached safeties for a really long time at a high level in the NFL, and Robert Livingston. So give me the safeties at 6 here.
not mad at it.
Who do you got?
I think I would have made an argument for offensive line at this point.
Ooh.
Because they do have probably the best overall player on the team
This is true.
in Jordan Seaton. And it's kind of similar to what we're going through on the defensive line, where it's a great mix now of young, exciting talent and proven veteran experience coming in too. I mean, there's questions to answer for sure. Like, can these guys who are coming up, McGill at center, like, can he make the jump and continue doing what he was doing at La Tech here at Colorado? So there's definitely more questions with that group, but I mean, there's proven experience. I mean, these guys played a lot of games.
A ton of games. Chrysler.
Yep.
Chrysler.
Chrysler.
Right, because I just honestly, RK really helped me with that. The Rizzler, just think of the Rizzler, Chrysler. Zai Chrysler coming over from Illinois. Aki Okunbiwi as well from Texas A&M has played a lot of football in the SEC as well. So, I mean, based on what we've been talking about, like that unit has the proven production in terms of the experience at least. So yeah, they would probably have to be up there. I had running back right in that mix though, in terms of kind of in between safety, offensive line, because. I guess it's more talent, right? Because this is maybe a group, maybe there is some projection as well, because we haven't really seen Isaiah Gustav get a ton of opportunities. Same with Dallin Hayden, same with Michael Welch, who only played in a couple of games. But I think Michael Welch is going to kind of lead this backfield here moving forward in 2025. I think he has the most kind of pure talent, the best pure runner. But both of those other guys are obviously capable. Gustav and Dallin Hayden as well. Right. Throwing Charlie as well. So I think the running back room has an argument to be kind of in that mix, that 6 to 8 range for sure.
Chat, I did not say O-line is the best group. Said they have the best player in Jordan Seaton. I can get behind that. This is a group that has not really, I think, shown its true potential at all the last 2 years. All the guys that have come in and played in that room. So Micah is the guy, I think, but let's not forget about how good Isaiah was considering the circumstances last year too.
It's true.
So in terms of just like, what you're getting, I think you're right. Running back, we'll put it 7. Offensive line, tight end, linebacker are left.
I would go with your O-line at 8. Mostly because of Seaton, like you said, arguably the best player on the team, right?
Right.
And then, again, we've added a decent amount of experience from the transfer portal. Phillip Houston is going to be back, right? Cash Cleveland, a freshman All-American, is going to be back. We are pretty high on Chauncey Gooden. We're excited to see what our guy Carday turns into as well, maybe at the tackle spot as well. So, yeah, I'm more than comfortable having O-line at 8, which I think there's definitely room for them to climb.
Sure.
No doubt, too.
I mean, yeah, it's the experience coming in terms of games played and production. I mean, was it Zary McGill who it's like the last 2 years he hasn't allowed a sack or something like that?
That's right.
So if that continues, then definitely this room will grow. And it depends a lot on the young talent because, I mean, if Cash wins out at center over Zarian, at best, you have 3 new starters on that offensive line this year.
Facts.
Tight end or linebacker? Basically, which one do you have more confidence in at this point?
I'm going to go linebacker, mostly because of Martavius French.
You're right, yeah.
And obviously Reggie Hughes as well was very productive as well, and I think he's going to surprise some people. People might hear, him coming from Jacksonville State and, kind of maybe put him into a box, but this is a really athletic linebacker who can play pass, play the run, get after the quarterback, make tackles for a loss in the backfield. So I think this linebacker room actually can surprise people. Again, we're excited about Montrezl Walker as well.
Right.
Jalen Wester, I think, is going to be able to really pop through and, get some time. JB is looking swole again in some of the videos that I've seen as well. So, this linebacker room actually I think could surprise the people. It might be a bit deeper and maybe more talented than maybe some are thinking.
I'm not mad at it. I do think what you're getting more from linebacker, but and we put tight end last year, but I do think this position group has definitely gotten better. They're going to be able to help out this offense just on a down-to-down basis more because I think you're going to actually get some blocking production out of this tight end group this season.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I think Zach Atkins is going to be somebody who Buffs fans fall in love with throughout the season because, again, it's the duality, it's the versatility of bringing a different dimension in the run game with a tight end on the field, maybe even 2 tight ends on the field. And obviously he can flex out and, make plays as a true kind of route running receiver as well at 6'5", whatever he is. So, and obviously Savell Smalls is back as well.
Yes, that's where I was going to go.
He got, a lot of experience, obviously after transitioning from playing defensive end, edge, or whatever previously. So this was his first year playing tight end, and you got to give him some grace, at least at the college level. Playing tight end, you got to give him some grace, and I think everything considered, for what was asked of him, he did all right. So I'm excited to see what he does after a full offseason of tight end experience under his belt and being challenged a little bit by Zach Atkins, who I think is a really good player.
For sure. All right, to recap, 1 through 10. Starting at the top, defensive line, then edge, cornerback, quarterback, wide receiver, safety, running back, offensive line, linebacker, and tight end are our early off-season. I don't know what time of year this is.
Early offseason sounds good to
Early
me.
off-season positional power rankings.
Yeah.
It's getting to that time, man. The boys were working with the Marines again today. Did you see that?
I did. It looks difficult.
It looks very difficult, man. They did this last offseason, and I think it was, I'm not going to say it was a turning point, but I think they learned a lot from that experience. I mean, coaches talked about that experience. Players talked about that experience a lot, and how, because one of the team's issues in 2023 was the fact that they weren't all together, and that really that literally forced them to be together actually and work as a team. So shout out to U.S. Marine Corps for coming back out to Boulder and helping keep the culture going at CU.
Getting them boys right.
All right, let's do this Bucky Brooks mock draft, then we'll do buy or sell after the break.
Bet.
Yeah, we just had him on the show yesterday from the Senior Bowl.
How cool was that for you, bro? You talked a little bit about
dope,
yesterday,
man.
bro, because I know that's your guy, man. Being able to talk ball with somebody who helped you learn ball along the way, I'm sure.
I mean, look, Bucky hasn't been doing it a long time. I think he's only been doing this like 6-7 years, but he was I think he was like a 50-some round overall pick.
Yeah.
When he came out, he won a Super Bowl with the Packers in Super Bowl 31. Was a scout for a long time. Like him and DJ, to me, that they're just the best that do that stuff. They have the most connections. They know more. They're able to kind of break it all down. And you're right. I did learn a lot from them. And these are the kind of pieces of content that would come out for them that literally I would stop and like, okay, what's going on here? Analyzing their mock drafts and all that. So shout out to Bucky again. That was sick. Starting at first overall, Bucky Brooks has the Tennessee Titans selecting quarterback from Colorado, Shedeur Sanders.
Wow.
And he mentioned this when I asked him yesterday. He brought up, what Brian Callahan is doing at Tennessee, and we've talked about this a lot too with, come to the Joe Burrow comps. Like he coached Joe for a long time out there in Cincinnati, really built an offense around him that worked. And it's a lot of what Shedeur does well. This fit just makes a lot of sense to me. I know, the first overall thing is it's a controversial topic at times, especially when, the GM comes out and says we're going to take a generational player, of course. But Shedeur, in my mind, is clearly the best quarterback and one of, top 10 at worst, top 5 best players in this class.
Yeah, bro. It makes you think because, again, and Bucky mentioned it here, Titans head coach Brian Callahan is entering his second season as a head coach. And obviously the first year didn't go well, but you can kind of, if you're Callahan, kind of blame them on the fact like, hey, listen, I didn't have my guy at quarterback.
Right.
I inherited Will Levis and Mason Rudolph.
Yeah.
And it'll be imperative for Brian Callahan, whoever that is, to identify your guy and put him in the best position to succeed. And again, based on what you've been talking about, the most success Brian Callahan has had, in the NFL was with Joe Burrow. And we've already talked, almost ad nauseum. You were kind of the first on it. Just the similarities between Shedeur and Joe Burrow. And I would have to believe that Brian Callahan sees those similarities. And obviously, I would imagine once you sit down and talk to Shedeur in a one-on-one setting, you're going to fall in love with the football acumen, his high football IQ. So this Tennessee thing is starting to make a bit more sense to me. Obviously, I'm still in the Giants camp, I think, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if Tennessee sitting at number 1 is like, listen, we got to get this thing moving, and that starts with a franchise quarterback. And I can see Brian Callahan falling in love with Shedeur Sanders if he hasn't already.
It just makes a lot of sense, and there's cycles to draft season, and we've talked about this a bit too, but it's always changing. Like what's the consensus or the quote consensus right now will not be the consensus, after the combine happens, after when pro days start to happen and all that. These things change. And then usually as we get closer to the draft, we kind of go back around to the beginning of things. So we'll see if that happens here. But it seems like Shedeur really impressed at the Shrine Bowl. Brian Callahan was talking about that, his maturity. Just, you see the leadership traits, and, Shedeur was Shedeur in there. He was, bright, funny, getting along with him, just doing what he does best, basically. So it's cool to see these teams really finally notice that, I think, after a lot of misconceptions.
And did you see, I can't remember, I'm mixing this up, they were talking about either the Titans GM or the Giants GM. They had met with Shedeur, and I saw a tweet where it was like that same GM hadn't met with Cam Ward yet.
Yes, I think that was Tennessee.
Was that Tennessee?
I think so, yeah.
And that made me think, it was like, if you haven't met with Cam Ward yet at this point, it makes me think that you're probably just not interested in him.
Or they're just waiting for combine or something. They're not trying to make it obvious. Like,
Maybe.
Because
perhaps.
that's the thing. With the first overall pick, there's so many, like,
right.
I'm going to throw out smoke on this. Like, they could
True.
just be lying,
They could
too.
be.
You know what I mean?
They could
like,
be.
So,
and that also makes me think, too, because that's right, bro. It's like, why would the Titans GM come out and say what he said about the whole generational thing, too?
right.
Right? If you really have somebody in mind, I guess it really doesn't matter if you're picking number one, because you can pick who you want.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, yeah.
But I think it was interesting that he said what he said, and it makes me think that I think they're at least contemplating potentially trading back if the right package presented itself.
We got some quotes from Brian Callahan. They're from last week. Did you guys go over these at all? Talking about Shedeur?
I don't think so, no.
No? We'll get to it on the other side of the break. Shout out Live Well.
Squad.
Great to be back in Colorado, where there's Live Wells just everywhere you look, basically. All over the place out here in Colorado. Really, the premier, just best dispensary out here in Colorado. They're going to get you right, man. Best staff in the game. Find you exactly what you need. They got a great selection as well. Flower, edibles, concentrates, and much, much more. Visit livewell.com to reserve your in-store pickup today. Makes it super quick and easy. You're in and out of the store in literally just a matter of minutes. And also when you stop by, use the code DNVR25 and receive 25% off one regular priced item. Some restrictions apply. That does apply to the in-store pickup as well. So place your order, mention that code, get a little discount. Shout out the homies at Live Well.
Y'all see this beautiful ice shaker right here?
Yeah, it is beautiful. Tell them, Scotty.
Y'all know I love me some blue and some orange together
Yes,
on
sir.
a football team. Maybe the wrong logo, but nonetheless, this is a beautiful ice shaker. Y'all need to get y'all some. Order your team branded bottle today at iceshaker.com and use the code ALLCITY25 for 25% off your order. Ice Shakers, show your support for your teams with the best branded workout bottles on the market. Get you an ice shaker.
Yep, developed by the Gronkowskis, man.
Oh, yeah.
So you know they're proven. They're spike proof. We also have a shout out from some gifts we got.
Yes.
From Paul H. Sent us. I wear some of their stuff every now and then. Positive Message Clothing. He sent us some stuff before you got hooked up. Like
I got hooked
crazy.
up. Paul, appreciate you, my dog.
But yeah, he wrote us a little note, sent us a care package. So thank you again, Paul. Thank you all for all the gifts. Actually, it's really cool.
You're the man.
Appreciate
Appreciate Baron again for our gifts last week or the week before. Y'all are really showing love, and we appreciate it for
Yeah,
real.
Baron. He gave me some essentials that were used over the last week, so I appreciate
love
you,
that.
man. Thanks. All right, so Brian Callahan, just talking about Shedeur, said you can tell he's been raised right. He's mature. He has a really poised way about him. He seems like a really good kid. I enjoyed talking to him. And you could tell he's a guy who has been in the spotlight. Mm-hmm. He knows how to handle himself. He's been paid money, so he has a financial perspective. He also was talking about the pre-draft process for these guys at quarterback. Said it's big. It's another chance to be in contact with them. Even though Shedeur didn't throw today, so this was on Saturday, I got a chance to talk to him for 15 minutes, and that's one touch point to probably what's going to be multiple, combine touch point, Pro Bowl touch point, 30 visit touch point, to where you really get to uncover everything about the player. The film is the film, but the rest of it is important. Who they are, how they function, what their personality is. So yeah, I mean, that just illustrates we got quite a bit of way to go in the process. Top 30 visits too. But Shedeur also just, again, he is who he is, man. Like when you just get in front of Shedeur and you talk to him and you're around him for literally like 15 minutes like this, you just get it.
Hell yeah. And that point that he brought up about Shedeur being paid money is something that I feel like the NIL era is going to help quarterbacks with in the NFL. And I think the first time I really heard it brought up was with Caleb Williams, right? Where it's like he's been paid millions of dollars for being a college football quarterback. So when he gets that bag from the NFL, it's not going to change who he is as a person, which I think has maybe been a challenge for athletes, kind of back in the day where it's like if you truly, really come from nothing, and you all of a sudden have everything, that could kind of mess with you and kind of, tilt your focus to where it shouldn't be. And that's typically not on football. So again, that's definitely a feather in Shedeur's cap. And he also knows that you got to work for everything. And he made that clear too this week at the Shrine Bowl that, that's how he was brought up. Like Coach Prime made it clear to we live in a nice house, but this is my house.
Yep.
This all my stuff. Shedeur and Shiloh and the rest of them have really took that to heart. And it's a definition of, kind of getting it out the mud because again, you have the Sanders name and, maybe people maybe know you by that, but it almost makes you have to do more, improve more. And I think that's what all Shedeur has done over the last 3 years.
It's just, the fact that the NFL is like getting it, because I think there was a little bit of, I don't know, just hesitancy that maybe the NFL is going to see Shedeur and they're not going to just like what they see in terms of a quarterback coming from a family like that who is as confident as he is. But, Girls Club and Reef nailed it. That's why he's grown, and he had the real quote of the week, really. I didn't know it was bad to have your parents involved, which is true.
Facts.
Rounding out Bucky's mock, number 4, Travis Hunter goes to the New England Patriots, which I think is a great landing spot for him.
Yes.
He can actually, I think, flourish in his two-way ability there. They have Christian Gonzalez, who's a great cornerback. He doesn't have to be the top cornerback. They need a wide receiver, though, for Drake May.
Yeah.
It's just an overall nice landing
I'd just be shocked if he fell to 4, bro.
I would, too.
I'd be surprised if 3 teams had an opportunity to pick Travis Hunter and they're like, nah. But we'll see. I agree, though. That would be a dope fit in New England, but I'd just be surprised.
All right. Buy or sell?
Let's get it.
Let's get it. First one, Scotty.
Will Sheppard, who'll be a top 100 draft pick.
You buying or selling? And it's so hard to say at this point, but top 100 is like basically day 2. I think it goes up to 96, 98, whatever it is.
So pretty much top 4 rounds, right?
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna sell that. Obviously no shade on Will. What he's done this week at the Shrine Bowl is maybe rise his stock maybe more than any other receiver who showed up to the Shrine Bowl. That one-handed catch he had in the back of the end zone, the catch on the sideline he had on Oregon cornerback Jabbar Muhammad, shows, his talent, his ability to go up and track the football and come down with big plays. But I just think, again, this receiving class of this 2025 draft is so deep. Also, too, I'd be a bit surprised if he was the first Colorado receiver taken. You know what I'm saying? I think LeJontay Wester is going to be the first one taken. I think Will Sheppard gets drafted. Top 100, I think I have to sell that.
I think I'm going to buy it. And I think it's possible he's not the only one who goes in this range. Like you mentioned, LeJontay has really made some noise for himself, and there's a lot to go in the process again, but it's just going to come down to the size. There's going to be a team that just sees what he does in terms of constantly getting open and catching passes. But Will Sheppard, I think, has done enough at this point to really elevate his draft stock into that range. And look, again, if he was the number 1 receiver on this team, like he probably has over 1,000 yards and close to 10 touchdowns.
100%. 100%.
Let's go to the next one. Buy or sell, Scotty. Colorado players will score multiple touchdowns in tomorrow's Shrine Bowl.
Oh, I'm buying that. It wouldn't surprise me. All 3 of them got in the box.
Yeah.
But I know my boy LeJontay getting in the box. Whether that be a punt return or a receiving touchdown, I would expect Jimmy to get in the box. And again, Will, if he get in the red zone, you know what I'm saying? If there's a jump ball opportunity, I know those quarterbacks are going to be looking for Will Sheppard in the red area. And I know on 3rd down, they're going to be looking for their speedsters and LeJontay and Jimmy working the slot. So, it wouldn't surprise me, bro, if multiple guys got in the box. It wouldn't surprise me if all 3 got in the box. But that would be could you imagine that, bro? That would be a hell of a day.
It'd be unreal. I'm going to buy it first off. I think it's entirely possible. Like you said, all 3 of them, the wide receivers get in. But what we talked about yesterday, with Jimmy starting on kick return and LeJontay starting on punt return, I just have a feeling that it may not be a touchdown, but we're going to get one big return from these guys. And maybe I'm just, I was around them too much and I'm just wish casting. But I think one of Shiloh or Cam will get a turnover.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Bro, that'd be huge.
They've been flying, man. Next one. We have 5 total, so a few more. Buy or sell, Scotty. Colorado's a running back rush for over 100 yards in 2025.
But I'm buying that. Oh, it says running back. It's interesting because I was looking to be like, Caden Salter could do that, but it clearly says running back.
Running back.
But yeah, no, I'm going to say yes because, and we talked about this. We flirted with this idea at different points throughout the season. Really, all it takes is one chunk run. One 50, 60-yard chunk run, and you do what you do the rest of the game. And I can see that for sure. Isaiah Gustav obviously has a second gear. You know what I'm saying? Michael Welch is just so hard to bring down to the ground. Like, I can definitely see him ripping off a beast mode type run at some point. And again, just Caden Salter's threat of using his legs is just going to open things up for these running backs. So I'm going to buy that for sure.
I am also going to buy. I think it's time. It's got to happen. And, what we've been saying the last 2 years is all it takes is one big one and then a solid day, right?
Facts.
But with this offense, with potentially Caden Salter starting at quarterback, and just what you can do in the backfield with someone like Draylon Miller making things a little bit harder for defenses to just zero in. Like sometimes when you have all that going on in the backfield motions and you're lining up Draylon next to K-Salt / Julian and then Micah, like sometimes a running back just inside zone, like
it could hit.
It can hit.
No
so
doubt.
I'm going to buy this one as well. Next one. Buy or sell. The Buffs quarterbacks will be sacked less than 30 times this season.
It's interesting, bro. That's a good question. Very specific question.
In 2022, when they had quarterback struggles, this happened. The offensive line was actually not bad in 22.
Yeah.
They didn't allow a lot of sacks. Again, the rate we've seen sacks the last 2 years is not normal. Part of that's on the offensive line. Part of that's on the scheme. Part of that's on Shedeur. Yes, we're not going to get into that, but 30 times is about average for a season.
Yeah, we'll be sacked less. I'm gonna buy this. I'm looking at it now. The most times Caden Salter's been sacked in a season? What do you think?
Oh man, I'm gonna say like 15.
Close. 19 was the most he's ever been sacked. He's only been sacked 44 times, over 3 seasons. So, and that's partly a quarterback skill / trait, sack avoidance. And obviously it's littered throughout his tape, Caden Salter's tape, that his ability to evade rushers, extend plays, and just avoid sacks is really one of his, biggest kind of attributes. So, and obviously that's a big part of his mobility and his game in general. But I think Caden Salter is going to help this offensive line kind of keep him protected. And the offensive line is just going to be better. So I'm buying this for sure.
I'm going to hesitantly buy it as well.
Hesitantly? I respect it.
I just think the offensive line is going to be better. And I know we've said this the last 2 years. But with Jordan, going into year 2, I'm expecting Chauncey Gooden to potentially have an impact. And I think these transfers can make an impact as well. I mean, this could all blow up in my face 8 months from now.
I kind of think of it as like the left tackle, which is the most important part, is locked down. I think Phillip Houston did enough, assuming he comes back fully healthy from his injury. Yeah, he showed enough to where he can plug in as your right tackle. And then from that point, you just got to figure out the interior. And you might have been saying that last year, right? And maybe easier said than done. But you have somebody at least you feel like you can trust at the center spot. Yeah. And Cash Cleveland, potentially Zarian McGill. And then if you could just figure out the guards, I mean, again, probably easier said than done. Yeah. But it should be a lot better, this offensive line situation.
I'm cautiously optimistic about the Buffs offensive line going into this year.
I hear you.
Do we have one more, or was that it? One more. Let's go. Buy or sell, Scotty. Tajay McCoy will be the Buffs' best edge rusher this season. All we've been hearing the last 2 years is he's the future. Tajay McCoy, he's making noise. We saw it in the public practice in Denver last offseason. He had, 3 sacks that day?
I was curious why you mentioned earlier, like, we'll get to Tajay later. I'm like, are we going to get to Tajay later?
Look, it's a third year.
Yeah.
Third-year jumps are like, it's the NFL. We see it in college football all the time. The guys just settle in more. Yeah. They grow into their bodies a bit more, and they just blow up in that third year. I think he's a massive candidate to be a breakout player this season.
He's definitely a massive candidate to be a breakout this year in 2025. I'm very high on Tajay McCoy. But I think I'm going to have to sell this one.
Okay.
I'm going to sell this one because of Arden Walker. I think the best edge rusher this season for the Buffs will be Arden Walker. Second on sacks here in 2024, 4.5, only behind BJ Green. And it seemed like as the season went on, he got better week in and week out. He's obviously, I think, already one of the better run defenders on that defense.
Yes.
And again, he kind of seemed to put together the sack production as the season kind of went on. So I think Arden Walker, which I believe 2025 will be his senior season, I think Arden Walker is in for a big senior campaign. So I think he would be the best edge rusher for the Buffs in 2025. But can't blame you for saying Tajay McCoy. Can't blame you for saying Keaton Wade, Sammy Sachs either. So like we said earlier, this edge room is pretty elite.
Chat's not buying. A lot of mentions of Arden Walker. Of course, Samuel Okunlola and Keaton Wade. I'm just going to go back to my original point. I think it's just a third-year breakout year for Tajay McCoy, and we see kind of a different player. I'm going to buy it.
Yeah, bro. I mean, he has a different level of explosiveness, too. And we saw it on kickoff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, if he gets ahead of steam, again, like you just mentioned, bending around that edge, he can be a really explosive player off the edge for sure.
Let's buy or sell. One last thing before we get to questions. So get your questions in now. Scotty, you went to Boulder for the Buffs basketball game last night. Tab Boyle's boys fall in another heartbreaking fashion. 2-point loss to ASU. Back and forth for a bit.
Yeah.
Bengat Dak really kind of coming into his own. Is he the Buffs' best player right now?
I think he is the Buffs' best player. Julian Hammond and Coach Boyle actually said after the game, Julian Hammond has been their most consistent player this year. But he even struggled last night. I think he was 0 for 5 in the first half. Julian was scoreless in the first half. He kind of came alive in the second with 13 points. But that's kind of the issue, right?
Yeah.
If we're talking about Bengat Dak, who is a super talented player.
Sure.
And we're talking about him, as a very young, kind of still raw player, as potentially this team's best player. That's kind of a major reason why this team is still winless, in the Big 12, sitting at 0-9 in the conference. And, going there last night, this is a team that had every opportunity to to steal a game, at home, where Arizona State is down 2 starters. You know what I'm saying? Again, you're at the friendly confines of the CU Event Center. You're desperate trying to find your first conference win of the season, first Big 12, win since you rejoined the conference, and you really just can't get out of your own way. I mean, again, this is kind of the story of it here. We've seen this play out multiple games this year. This team just can't finish.
Yeah.
They can't find somebody to help them finish, or they just can't do it as a team. They missed their last 6 shots of the game last night, bro. They missed
that they've done that so many times this year.
They missed their last 6 shots of the game. They missed their last 9 of 11 shot attempts. And again, the game was completely hanging in the balance for pretty much the last 5 minutes. They actually outscored Arizona State in the second half. They outplayed them in the second half. But again, when you kind of dig yourself a hole early and you can't finish, it's just going to be hard for you to win these games. And it sucks. Sebastian Rancic was a bit of a bright spot. He got his first career start last night, the true freshman, a highly touted guy coming out of high school. The numbers weren't great. He was 3-7 from the field, but hit a big shot late to kind of, I think either tie the game or bring the Buffs within 1 with a couple minutes left. Missed a couple free throws late too, but Rancic is a guy who, Buffs fans thinking about the future, should be excited about. In addition to Bengat Dak, I mean, that dunk he had last night. If y'all didn't see that dunk Bengat Dak had last night, man, go check that out. I mean, that's Sports Center type 10 highlight worthy for sure. So, I mean, it's just the post game press we were talking about is just the vibes are very low.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Coach Boyle said after the game, like, I've never felt worse for a group of guys than I do these guys, because they're put in effort, and a lot of these this isn't really a young team either,
right?
You know what I'm saying? These are older guys, so you kind of you grab a Trevor Baskin, you grab a Elijah Malone from kind of the lower Division II ranks, kind of hoping to put together, at least build on the momentum that you were able to build last season, but that hasn't really been the case, and it's just turned into a frustrating year. And now at this point, you're just hoping that you get one.
Right.
You get one in the Big 12. And Coach Boyle said yesterday, the February slate is not going to be kind to the Buffs. It gets really tough here, but we'll see.
It does. 9 straight losses for the Buffs, all in Big 12 play. They are 2 games behind the next team ahead of them in the Big 12, which is Cincinnati at 2-7. They go to Fort Worth to play TCU on Sunday, then Utah middle of the week. Then, yeah, you're right. This stretch coming up here, just top 25 team after top 25 team. We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see, bro.
Hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and drop your questions.
Oh, yeah.
We're starting with our guy, Ivan. What is the weakest / worrisome position group, most worrisome position group heading into spring football? We put tight end down there.
Yep.
In terms of worry, though, is that the one you're worried about the most?
Yeah, I think weakest and worrisome is a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, tight end can be weak and it maybe doesn't be worrisome, but...
Like, well, the way we were doing it was like... We just don't really know
right.
what we're getting from that
we don't
room.
Know,
you know?
right.
We know what Savell was able to do last year, but he's still kind of progressing, right? And you got these new guys coming in. You got Atkins making the jump up from
Division 2.
D2 football. So
yeah.
I don't know if it's worrisome, though. I mean, in terms of worrisome, it's does the offensive line work?
Right. I agree. I think worrisome, yeah, it's the offensive line because, again, that's if that don't work, nothing will.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You can survive, potentially not having a really good tight end room again, but you can't survive having a below average offensive line, especially with a different quarterback under center. So I think worrisome potentially, yeah, is offensive line. Weakest potentially is tight end linebacker, which I think we put 9th and 10th on our position rankings.
MLN asked, who is gunning for a gray jersey this year beyond Harge and Brown? Good question.
I can give you a name.
Go for it.
Somebody I just saw kind of talking about it. I don't know. It might have been on Reach the People. Shedeur Sanders Jr., if I'm not. I'm sorry about that. But R.J. Johnson.
Yeah, he did mention
R.J.
that.
Johnson talking about the fact that, I've been playing receiver, cornerback pretty much my whole life. He definitely seems to have the frame, the ability to do so. So, and R.J. Johnson is somebody who I should have mentioned it in the safety discussion as well.
Sure.
I think R.J. Johnson potentially could be gunning for a gray jersey along with Mr. Harge and Tyler Brown, who was actually at the CU basketball game last night out in the crowd.
Oh, nice.
Shout out to
shout out TB.
Hell yeah.
I'm going to throw out Cam Michael. He can literally do everything. He came in primarily as wide receiver this last year. Hasn't even really, of course, didn't really get to do much because of his injury, but we haven't even really see him flesh out that DB side, and that's something that takes 1 or 2 flashes, and Coach Prime goes, you know what? He's got to go get some DB reps. So one of the most athletic guys on the team, I'll go with Cam.
I'm so excited to see him fully healthy.
Me too,
and,
man.
And out on the field and in action.
Demetrius, are there any nicknames being primed for the D-line, O-line, D-backs, or any position? Do you have any nicknames coming up, bro?
No, I don't think so. Not at the moment. At least at those positions, D-line. Well, actually on O-line, we already got the Chrysler.
Right.
That RK already got. So we got that already in the works. But, we'll think on that.
I don't have any off the top of my head right now. We'll get to it, though. MLN, any reason why CU players didn't go to Senior Bowl and solely Shrine Bowl, seeing other prospects repped at both bowls? Interesting question. So all I can tell you is I think CU just took a liking to the Shrine Bowl.
Or a disliking to the Senior Bowl.
Or disliking to the Senior Bowl. I mean, look, the Senior Bowl director has said some things. He's taken some shots at some other games. Maybe not warranted in a process like this when it's about exposure for the players and all that. I mean, it doesn't really matter about the game. Like,
right, exactly.
I mean, I guess it matters for the people like us or scouts or whatever who have to go there. But, if you're sitting at home watching these, it's just all right there for you anyway, so it doesn't matter. But
have guys been doing that, though? Do guys go to both?
I don't think you can do both, but like Miami had guys at the Shrine Bowl and Restrepo's at the Senior Bowl. So like stuff like that, I think. So I think CU just has a good relationship with Eric Galco and Shrine Bowl staff.
Really. Hey, them Miami boys kind of been killing it at the Senior Bowl too. Yeah. Restrepo and that tight end Arroyo, they've been going crazy. This tight end class is crazy.
It's a nice tight end class. Yep.
For real. I almost forgot about Fannin yesterday.
Yeah.
I saw a clip. I'm like, oh man, like I've heard this tight end, like the Iowa tight end, bro.
He was balling at the Shrine Bowl.
I know.
They were feeding him carries,
he's nice, bro.
Touches.
Tyler Warren, obviously. I feel like there's at least 2 to 3 other ones that I'd be ecstatic to have on my team.
Loveland's a dog. Yes. He's more of a receiving type. Gunnar Helm is a guy from Texas that I really like.
Yep.
Aronde Gadsden Jr. was the Syracuse tight end at the Shrine Bowl. Facts. He had some plays.
I think ESPN in that story with Jordan Reed and then Jimmy Horn Jr. is a rising prospect from the Shrine Bowl. They had him as well.
Gadsden, yep.
Kristen
asks, blank is the one specific thing the Buffs have to improve on to take the next step and win the Big 12. Look at Kristen playing fill in the blank. What is one specific thing?
Running the football.
Yeah, I was going to say, you could just put running the football in that one.
Swear. More consistently.
Better offensive play, offensive line play, I should say. Sorry.
Yeah. More versatility in play calling.
Yes.
Different dimensions.
You know a sneaky one, though? Touch bucks.
Hell yeah.
Just kicking the ball at the back of the end zone.
I think that's a lock.
Yeah.
This year.
I put it in my predictions piece. I mean, this guy went crazy for Law Tech, I think it is. Like, I'm almost like expecting Colorado to lead the Big 12 in touchbacks this year.
Yeah, no doubt.
Good question. Shelly's asking if Arden is a senior. I believe he is.
I'm almost positive Arden is a senior in terms of the last year of eligibility. Yep. Who knows?
Listed as a junior last year. He'll be a senior.
Yeah.
D Mills, I keep hearing that Tad Boyle is the best coach we could hope to get with our budget. Is that true? Tad doesn't seem prepared for the portal era. Big question. I
mean, I don't know.
I don't know if it's a budget issue, though.
Right. That's what I was going to say.
Especially for coaches. Like, maybe CU basketball has like an NIL issue, but I don't think it's like a budget issue.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know either. You need guys, and the team just lacks guys, especially when you're coming out the year that you had last year. But again, it's kind of a lot of people nobody expected this team to be very good. I don't know if people expect this team to be 0-9 in the Big 12 at this point, but when you lose 3 guys to the NBA draft and you lose your next 3 guys in the rotation to the transfer portal, it's probably going to be tough sledding that next season. And that's what we're going through here now. And, you can maybe say that those 3 guys leaving for ACC schools like Eddie Lampkin left for Syracuse, Javon Hadley left for Louisville.
Yep.
Luke O'Brien left for Georgia Tech.
Yep.
You can maybe say that you keep those guys if there's maybe more NIL money opportunity around, but such is life in college athletics nowadays. And if you don't got guys, it's going to be tough to win. And that's kind of what we're seeing here with CU basketball.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think it's a question of recruiting with them. Like, Tad Boyle had Dalton Connect in the building last year. He was pretty close to becoming a Buff before Tennessee dropped a bag in front of him.
That is facts.
So
that is facts.
Antonio McKinney says the quarterback reminds me of the Chris Leak and Tim Tebow at Florida. Quarterback room, I mean...
Who's who? Which one's which?
You tell me.
Because I think in this scenario, Chris Leak would have to be Caden because he's the older guy, right?
I don't know if Julian's running around like Tim Tebow.
That's what I'm saying, because and Chris Leak was the older guy and Tebow was the younger guy coming up. But obviously in this scenario, it was kind of flipped, so it's interesting.
I mean, it could be a 2-quarterback system in some regard. Maybe more or less than we think. All right, DJ Flame D, what do you got for us?
I feel like he gonna cut up today.
He's got a lot. All right, he says, "What's up, gents? F the Chiefs, true. F the Jayhawks, true. Jake, nice work covering the Shrine Bowl, my guy. Thank you. Shout out to RG and FDP is the real MVP.
True.
Read the next 6 super chats all together. All right, here we go. Number 1. 1, my guy Scott, we got a problem, bro. You my guy, but earlier this week you went off about how much Josh Allen gets excuses made for him. Patrick gets way more.
I was almost sad that you didn't get to sit in on that because I got on that with RK. I got on that with RK, bro. But DJ Flame, bro, be for real, bro. Patrick Mahomes gets more excuse made for him than Josh Allen, bro. I hope it sounds like you listened to that whole segment the other day in its entirety. Bro, the excuses made for Josh Allen. Again, RK was literally right here making excuses for Josh Allen with a tweet 20 minutes after the game. So, but I'll continue reading this. He goes,
yeah, go for it.
As you know, I live here in KC, and yes, I do know that. I also know that you started your last message with F the Chiefs, but I digress. The amount of excuses Patrick gets is ridiculous. If you remember, Josh Allen was crucified for that loss he had when Diggs was yelling at him on the sideline. Why do you think Stephon Diggs was yelling at Josh Allen on the sideline, DJ Flame? Because he's tired of the foolishness, bro. Balling in the regular season, and he get to the postseason, and Stephon Diggs looking at him like, bro, what are you doing?
Wow.
Also from DJ Flame. Patrick had a terrible performing year by his own standards, sure. And people make excuses for him nonstop. What did Patrick do in college? He gets with Andy and all of a sudden he is the GOAT if he three-peats. No. Okay, I hear you, DJ Flame.
4.
What is Patrick without Andy Reid? Andy's been in conference championship games without Patrick, so who's more responsible for the Chiefs winning? It's obviously a team effort, but what is Andy Reid without Patrick Mahomes? I don't think Andy Reid won a Super Bowl without the services of Patrick Mahomes.
He
so
did not.
let's be for real here, DJ Flame. 5. To me, Andy's 70%. Bro, Spags 20%, Patrick 10%. He is put in the best situations with the best calls, and all he has to do is execute. So when they traded Tyreek Hill, arguably the best receiver in the NFL, and they've gone now to 3 straight Super Bowls. I mean, Patrick, that's 10%. That's still the best. That's the best case scenario. I don't know about that. I don't know, DJ Flame.
DJ Flame,
talk, though.
That's elite hating, brother. I absolutely respect it and agree with 100% of everything you just said. Thank you, sir, for bringing the truth to this show. Scott, you just continue to think what you think, brother.
It's easy. Maybe Sapp will put that unexpected $20 million in the collective. Facts. Start defensive line. Yeah, I don't think Coach Sapp would appreciate TZ you count his pockets. this money he might be getting. But hey, that's not a bad idea though, nonetheless.
Didn't he say he was going to donate it to like victims of basically what happened to him? Like,
which is dope.
Abuse of power, police abuse. Yeah.
Facts.
Shout out to Coach Sapp, man. Shout out to DJ Flame to you. That's my guy.
I'm going to get up with you, DJ Flame. That's all right.
Speaking the truth.
I was honestly surprised when we were going. I thought for sure the chat was going to be cooking me, because I know how people feel about the Chiefs. But I was kind of getting a decent amount of support. Even RK mentioned it, but
I saw a lot of support for you on that.
I was kind of pleasantly surprised. But I respect you, DJ Flame. It's all right. We can agree to disagree.
Nah, he's just bringing the truth. Chat, it's great to be back. We will be back live, same time, same place tomorrow. What we will talk about, we'll find out. See you then.
We all silly like the mayor.